Fellas, what have I told you? One of the tankiest builds can be achieved with none other than Tommy's Matchbook. This is an exotic auto rifle that I think many of us have completely forgotten about, but by God, is it deadly. This build, guys, is going to focus on multiple healing, restoration, and health regeneration abilities, all proccing at the same time, allowing you to tank Tommy's Matchbook's overheating damage for that double damage output with an infinite ammo weapon. So, fellas, I present to you the Tommy Tank. Huh? I kind of stole that build name from Luke. Regardless, though, this build is very, very good. And we're going to start with the exotic trait found on Tommy's Matchbook called Ignition Trigger. Sustained fire with the weapon causes it to overheat, increasing its damage but burning the user. Now, you actually take less damage from overheat if you're hip firing the weapon, and the overheat actually starts after you fire 20 rounds. Now, this was an issue because nobody wants to walk around pretty much being one shot ever, but that doesn't matter with this build because you're going to be rocking Tommy alongside Lorley Splendor. Now, Lorley last season was super cheesy in its ability to give you a damage buff. This season, though, it's the keep you alive exotic. It's the, oh, you don't really know what you're doing and you're taking a lot of damage, let me help you out exotic. And when you're actually critically wounded with full class ability energy, or even if you cast your barricade, a sunspot is created at your location that has these improved restoration effects with Solar 3.0. Now, this improved restoration is denoted as restoration times 2 on the left side of the screen and restores your health twice as fast as regular restoration. This means that while you have restoration times 2, you can endlessly fire Tommy's Matchbook without ever feeling the burn damage it does to you. Now, while you can technically survive Tommy's Matchbook on its own with just Lorley, because it won't kill you, it'll only bring you down to critical health. But this way, once you have restoration times 2, it's almost impossible to get into critical condition because you'll be restored so fast. Also, Tommy has a catalyst that recovers your health much faster. Granted, it's only your health and not actually your shields, but regardless, we do ask ourselves, what's the reasoning here for using Lorley? Well, during testing, we found that not only does Ember of Solace increase the duration of restoration times 2 from Lorley from 6 seconds to 8 seconds, but Ember of Empyrean allows you to continuously extend the duration of this restoration times 2 whenever you get a solar weapon or ability final blow. So you pop a barricade, or it pops for you when you hit critical health because of Lorley. You're instantly getting double restoration effects from restoration times 2. You'll be standing in a sunspot, which will make your abilities regen faster, and you can let loose with Tommy's Matchbook's double damage without having to worry about taking damage from it or really anything else, because with each kill, you'll be extending the duration of restoration times 2 by 3 seconds. Need to leave a sunspot? No problem. Just keep chaining those kills and extending restoration. Your class ability with this build should be up and ready to go again in 15 seconds or less, meaning you will always be able to have restoration times 2 going at all times. About the only thing holding you back is reloading your auto rifle. And if you want, rock double auto rifle mods. But if you're doing in-game content, I'm sure most of us will be rocking artifact mods. At the same time, you can just pop a rally barricade for that increase in reload speed, as well as that range. Now, this is only the base level of this build. Let's talk about aspects, fragments, and other ability stuff before getting into the mods. Now, you're gonna be rocking a throwing hammer here, solely because it's an easy melee to get back, and it takes advantage of Ember of Torches very easy. Ember of Torches makes you and nearby allies radiant when you hit an enemy with a powered melee. Combine this with Ember of Solace, and you'll be getting 12 seconds of radiant every time you hit an enemy with your throwing hammer. And guess what? Ember of Empyrean also applies here. It not only extends the duration of restoration effects applied to you, but also radiant effects applied to you when you get a solar weapon or ability final blows. And Ember of Tempering grants you and your allies increased recovery for a short duration on solar weapon final blows. So now, the loop. You cast a barricade. You get restoration times 2. You throw your hammer at an enemy. You get radiant for extra Tommy's Matchbook damage. And every time you get a kill with Tommy's Matchbook, which is dealing double damage, you'll extend restoration times 2 and radiant by 3 seconds and get increased recovery for each kill. And this recovery stacks up to 3 times as well. Now, maybe you find yourself low on ads to kill to extend that restoration times 2 duration, or maybe you're trying to tank down a yellow bar and don't have your class ability back yet. Don't worry, just chuck a healing grenade down at your feet, and that too will extend the duration of restoration times 2 and also cure you and other allies around you. Now, that is a lot of healing and restoration that I know a lot of people saying, yo, why aren't you just playing Warlock? But that's what's so mind-blowing here. You're able to do this on a Titan. Not only are we dealing a ton of damage, we're playing support out here, man. Now, let's talk about elemental wells, because we got a lot going on here. First off, flame harvesting. This mod generates solar elemental wells when you get solar exotic final blows. Now, every 2 kills with Tommy's Matchbook will spawn a solar well. And with this build, this is the only way you'll be spawning solar wells, which is totally fine since we're going to be depending on Tommy Matchbook pretty much for everything. everything. Now, when you pick up a Solar Well, it will proc Font of Might for even more Tommy's Matchbook damage, which yes, does stack with Radiant and everything else. Now, not only are we proccing Font of Might, we're also going to be proccing Well of Life, which gives us 10 seconds of uninterruptible health regen. So even more health on top of all the restoration we just went over. Now, when you pop your class ability, we're going to be taking advantage of the mod Reaping Well Maker. This is to produce Void Wells. Now, I know we're kind of intermixing wells here, but Void Wells, especially with Well of Tenacity, reduces damage that you take from combatants by 50% for 5 seconds. So if you have Well of Tenacity and Restoration ×2 going at the same time, your health bar literally doesn't move. Talk about power creep, man. And if you happen to stack this with 100 resilience, boom, crispy 40% damage reduction overall, which is stacking with our ability to tank even more damage with Well of Tenacity and the restoration effects. Now, if you don't want to pick up wells, you can of course take advantage of seeking wells. That will actually make the wells track to you. And of course, the beautiful thing about these wells, guys, is they feed into your abilities, right? They literally give you ability energy back. Now, if you are okay with physically going and picking up these wells, you could of course swap out seeking wells for bountiful wells. And something that we mentioned the other day, even though when you look at bountiful wells as a mod only utilized for stacking elemental wells and their benefits, the main reason why we take advantage of bountiful wells is because it spawns 2 elemental wells upon activation. So for reaping here, we will get 2 void wells. For flame harvesting, we will get 2 solar wells. So if you're fine with closing that gap and getting to those wells yourself, by all means, take advantage of bountiful wells. Other mods that definitely benefit here are things like Harmonic Siphon or even Solar Siphon, as you'll be getting a lot of rapid kills here with Tommy's Matchbook, which will generate an orb. And if you combine that with Better Already, you'll be granting yourself health regen every time you pick up one of these orbs. You can even stack things like Perpetuation, which reduces the cooldown of your class ability, allowing you to get it back even quicker. And to just add a little more tankiness, rock 2 Armor of the Dying Star mods for that extra resist from Void and Solar. So let me just run through the flowchart one more time. First, you'll cast your Barricade for Restoration ×2. You'll get increased regeneration while in that sunspot and increased class ability regen because of Perpetuation. You're going to kill multiple enemies with Tommy's Matchbook to generate a Void Well from Weeping Well Maker, and of course a Solar Well from Flame Harvesting, as well as an Orb of Power from a Siphon mod. This one kill will also extend the Restoration ×2 duration and increase recovery thanks to Ember of Empyrean and Ember of Tempering. Next, you'll hit an enemy with your Throwing Hammer for Radiance. You'll pick up the Void and Solar Wells, or let them come to you, granting you that 50% damage resist for 5 seconds, and the Solar Well granting you 10 seconds of uninterruptible health regen and 10 seconds of 25% damage boost to Tommy's Matchbook through Well of Life and Font of Might. Picking up that orb will also proc health regen with Better Already, and if you're rocking Installation mod, will also reduce your class ability cooldowns. And essentially, guys, you rinse and repeat all of this over and over, literally just spraying everything with Tommy's Matchbook. Now, for those that are wondering, does this all stack? It does. Tommy's Matchbook, these are its base damage numbers. Overheated damage kicks it up here. Overheat plus Radiant, and then Overheat with Radiant and Font of Might. Overall, all of this is stacking. And that one hammer throw, by the way, gives you Radiant for 10 seconds and extend it with every Tommy kill. And if we were actually to break down some math, and you manage to land every overheated round of Tommy's Matchbook as a crit, while both Font of Might and Radiant are procced, you'll be hitting somewhere around 288,000 damage. This is currently the tankiest Titan build to ever exist. But no lie, guys, I feel like we'll come up with something even better. Let me know in the comments below what you think here. And if you got any build suggestions, we would love to hear it. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.